Okay, here's what you will need to make yourself a Gracie doll. You will need worsted weight yarn in your skin tone color, your hair color, your dress color, your accessory color, and your underdress or slip in white. The names of all the colors I'm using are in the description below. Also, they're in the blog post that goes with this video. You will also need a tapestry needle. I will be using 2 different sizes. Some polyfill, you will need much more than this. An F 3.75 millimeter crochet hook. This one is Clover Moore brand, which is my favorite hook brand to work with. A pair of scissors, an optional stitch marker for working in the round if you are not used to it. Black embroidery thread for your Gracie doll's eyes. We will hand embroider her eyes onto her. Lip color embroidery thread or fingering weight yarn for your lips that will also be hand embroidered. Also, you might want to have a couple rubber bands handy. These will be optional, but they will help keep your work clean while you're crocheting. And last, you're going to need your crochet pattern, but most importantly, this chart. This is the chart that we will be following. We're going to start by making the body of our Gracie doll, then we'll do the arms, then we'll do the legs, then we'll assemble, then we'll embroider. So that's the plan for this video. But to follow this grid, we're actually going to be looking at it like this and starting down here. So this is how we're going to be following our grid for the whole pattern. So print this out if you haven't already. You can get the PDF version of this pattern linked in the description below and in the blog post that goes with this video. We're going to start with our hair color and our skin tone color. So we're going to be starting right here. And I tried to make my colors the same as these, except for this is going to be white instead of green. And I couldn't do white or you wouldn't be able to see it, so I did green. So starting with our hair color, you're actually going to want to make yourself a small separate ball of your hair color. That way when we change colors in the rows, you can be working from 2 balls instead of trying to pull your yarn across and working from one big one. Okay, so this should be enough for our second little hair color ball. Starting with your hair color and your F crochet hook, chain 14. Then it says single crochet, starting in the second chain from your hook, single crochet 13 in the back bump, chain 1 and turn. So I'm going to put my single crochets right here. This is the back bump. I'm going to skip the back bump closest to my hook, which is this guy. And I'm going to put my hook into here. And that's where I'm going to place my single crochet. I do yarn under. Instead of most people, they yarn over. I made one whole doll yarning over, and it was the tension was much looser, making it harder to stuff and make the different pieces be the same size, because if you stuffed one more than the other, it got drastically different instead of just slightly different like it does with yarning under. Yarning under gives your stitches a slightly twisted look, making them just a smidgen tighter. You can do whichever you prefer, whichever way you are used to, but I am aware that I yarn under and I'm doing it on purpose during this specific pattern. Once I get my 13 single crochets, that last one is always a little tricky. Okay, after we get our 13 single crochets for row 1, I'm going to chain 1 and turn my work. For row 2, we're going to increase right here in the first stitch. So that just means placing 2 single crochets in the top of this one stitch. Then we're going to single crochet 1 time in the next 11 spaces. $10 and $11, and then increase in the last stitch, giving us a total of 15 stitches in the row. Chain 1 and turn our work. For row 3, we're going to increase in the first stitch, single crochet in the next 13 stitches, then increase in the last stitch, giving us a total of 17 stitches in the row. In 13, now we're going to increase in the last stitch, giving us 17 total stitches in row 3, chain 1 and turn our work. Now we have row 4, we're going to increase in the first stitch, single crochet in the next 15 stitches, and then increase in the last stitch. (14, 15), increase in the last stitch for a total of 19, chain 1 and turn our work. Let's look at our chart and see where we're at so far. And I could mark these off as I go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Getting ready for row 5, and that's going to be where we have our first color change coming. So grab your skin tone yarn color, and your second little ball of hair color. If you were just following along, you can mark off each row as we do them so you know where you're at, or you can laminate this guy and use a dry erase marker to mark it off as you go and then reuse it every time you make a Gracie doll. So we're going to start off row 5 with an increase in the first stitch, 1, 2, and then we're going to single crochet in the next 8 stitches. In the 8th stitch, we're going to grab our skin tone yarn. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, I'm going to do something a little funky here. This is totally just personal preference. You do not have to do this, but here comes my 8th stitch, and I'm actually going to yarn over for this one. Every color changing stitch I yarn over because I feel like it gives it a cleaner finish and doesn't look as wonky from changing colors. Now I'm going to place that down and grab my skin tone color. The blog post also has a color chart with some good skin tone yarn options from across different brands. So if you haven't checked out the blog post that goes with this video, you're definitely going to want to give that a look through. Okay, so that's the 8th single crochet right there. So I started my single crochet, then I'm dropping my purple, and I'm going to grab my skin tone instead and pull it through. My purple working yarn is going to stay back there. My skin tone tail is just going to dangle, and I'm going to continue working with this yarn for now. And I'm going to make my first stitch by yarning over. Since that just was a color change, that's personal preference. You do not have to change if you yarn over or under. Totally up to you. Now it says to single crochet 5. That was 1. So we have 4 more with our skin tone color. 2, 3, 4. Now in the 5th one, I'm going to drop my skin tone color and pick up my second skein of hair over here. Let the tail just dangle behind. Grab that yarn and pull it through to finish out the 5th single crochet. Now we are going to single crochet 4 and then increase in the last stitch. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and an increase in the last stitch. 1, 2. That gives us a total of 21 stitches in the row. Now we can chain 1 and turn our work. So I'm just going to kind of play ring around the rosy with my skeins here just to keep them from getting all tangled up. This is the wrong side of our work, where all these tails are going to be hanging out. This is the wrong side, this is the right side. That will come in handy later down the road. We're going to start row 6 with this yarn here. We're going to increase in the first stitch right here. Single crochet in the next 4 stitches. 1, 2, 3, and 4, this one is going to be where we pick up our skin tone color. So I'm going to pull this to the wrong side, okay? In the first row, I just let it hang out there in the back, but that's because it was falling on the wrong side. So now I need to pull it to the wrong side so it doesn't clutter up the front of my piece. And then I'm just going to pick up this right here, the working skin tone yarn. I'm going to give it just a slight tug, and then I'm going to grab it and finish out the stitch. You don't want this to be too stinking tight because then it will make your doll head get all buckly and weird. So not tight, but taut, so it's not like dangling and being weird. Now we're going to single crochet 8 with our skin tone color, putting the first one right here on top of that purple single crochet. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Pull our skin tone yarn to the wrong side and then pick up our second yarn skein from our hair and finish out the 8th single crochet. And then we have 7 more stitches and then an increase with our purple. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then we have an increase. Chain 1 and turn our work. Now I'm going to musical chairs my yarn again. Okay. Now for row 7, we're going to start with an increase in the first stitch. Then we're going to single crochet 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Drop our purple, pick up our skin tone, finish out the 6th single crochet by picking up our skin tone and pulling it through. Then I'm just going to kind of taut everything up. Tauten. Now we're going to single crochet 12 with our skin tone color. So I like to not go around that extra little tail. That's probably personal preference as well. So I'm going to do 8. 1, 2, 3, 12. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and then 12. Then I drop my skin tone, pick up my other skein of hair, finish out the stitch. Now that we have 3 single crochets with our hair color and then an increase in the last stitch, and that's going to give us 25 single crochets in the row. 2, 3, and then increase, chain 1 and turn our work. And then we're gonna just, here we go, switcheroo. You can see that I'm keeping my working yarn in without getting them all braided up on each other. That's what the switcheroos are all about. Okay, so we are done with our increases for now. And we're going to start row 8 just by single crocheting 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Pull our yarn to the wrong side. Pick up our skin tone yarn to finish out the stitch. And then we are going to single crochet 14 with our skin tone yarn. 1, 2, 14. Pull our skin tone to the wrong side of our work. Pick up the last skein of our yarn hair and finish the stitch with that yarn. And then we are going to single crochet 7 with our purple. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Again, no increases. We're going to have 25 stitches in the row, chain 1, and turn our work. For row 9, we are going to single crochet 5 with our purple. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Drop our purple, pick up our skin tone, and single crochet 17. 1, 2. I'm just going to give this a little tug, clean it up. 16, 17. Drop our skin tone, pick up our hair to finish out the 17th single crochet, and then we're going to single crochet 3. 1, 2, 3, chain 1, turn our work. For row 10, we're going to start by single crocheting 3. 1, 2, 3. Pull our yarn to the wrong side, pick up our skin tone yarn to finish out the stitch. Then we're going to single crochet 19 with our skin tone. 1, 2, 3. 18, 19. Pull our yarn to our wrong side, pick up our hair yarn to finish out the stitch, and then single crochet 3. 1, 2, 3, chain 1, and turn our work. Row 11, we are going to single crochet 2. Oops. 1, 2, drop our hair yarn, pick up our skin yarn, finish out the stitch. Then we're going to single crochet 21 with our skin tone. That's 1, 2, 3, 21. Drop our skin tone yarn, pick up our other hair skein, pull through, and then we're going to single crochet 2 with our hair color. 1, 2, chain 1, and turn our work. This is for row 12. We're going to start with our hair yarn and single crochet 2. In the second one, we're going to pull our working yarn to the wrong side, pick up our skin tone yarn to finish out the stitch, and then single crochet with your skin tone yarn for 21 stitches. That's 1, 2, 3, 21. Pull our skin tone yarn to the wrong side of our work, pick up our hair yarn, and single crochet 2. 1, 2, chain 1, and turn our work. You can see our hairline being made very nicely here. For row 13, we're just going to single crochet 1 time with our hair yarn. So drop it and pick up our skin tone to finish out the stitch. Then we are going to single crochet 23 with our skin tone yarn. That's 1, 2, 3, 22, and 23. Drop our skin color, pick up our hair color, finish out the stitch, then single crochet 1 with our hair color. But we're going to switch back to our skin tone to finish out this last stitch, because row 14 is just skin tone. We are done with our hair after this. So I started my last single crochet with the hair yarn color, but I'm finishing it with the skin tone, chain 1, and turn our work. So right here I am telling you how to use a rubber band to secure your yarn so we can use it for assembly and save on our tails that we have to sew in. But I changed my mind after recording this video, and we will save all of our assembly yarn for the back piece of our doll. So you can go ahead and cut this yarn off, leaving a tail long enough to sew in, and just pretend you don't see that yarn ball dangling there for the rest of the front piece of this pattern. And I'm going to go ahead and cut this working yarn over here, giving me a long enough tail to sew in later. And we are finished with this guy. Now for row 14, we are just going to single crochet 25 stitches with our skin tone. And then in row 15, we're going to start our decreases, which is going to shape our little face and our chin and cheeks area. So 25 single crochets. One in each for the entire row. (24) and 25. Chain 1 and turn our work. For row 15, we're going to decrease over the first 2 stitches. I use the invisible decrease when I'm working in the round, but since I'm just working in flat rows, I just use a traditional decrease where I insert my hook into the first stitch, grab my yarn, pull up a loop, insert my hook into the second stitch, grab my yarn, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through all the loops on my hook. That is my decrease single crochet. Then I'm going to single crochet 21 across, and then end with a decrease, giving me 23 stitches in the row. And 21, we have 2 stitches left. I'm just going to take those 2 and work a decrease over them just like I did on the first 2 stitches, chain 1 and turn our work. Okay, for row 16, we are going to start with a decrease over the first 2 stitches. Then we are going to single crochet 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Then we're going to decrease again over these next 2 stitches. Decrease. Then we're going to single crochet 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then we're going to decrease over these next 2 stitches. Okay, then we're going to single crochet 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we're going to decrease over these last 2 stitches here on the end. Chain 1 and turn our work. For row 17, we're going to decrease over the first 2 stitches. Single crochet 15 across. 14, 15, and then single crochet decrease over the last 2 stitches right here. Chain 1 and turn our work. For row 18, we are going to decrease over the first 2 stitches. So over these first 2 stitches, we're going to decrease. Then we're going to single crochet 3. 1, 2, 3. Then we're going to decrease over the next 2. Then we're going to single crochet 3. 1, 2, 3. Then we're going to decrease. Then we're going to single crochet 3 and end on a decrease. Last 2 stitches in the row for a decrease. Chain 1 and turn our work. For row 19, we are going to decrease over the first 2 stitches, single crochet in the next 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then decrease over the last 2 stitches. chain 1 and turn our work. Then for row 20, this is the last row of our face, and then we'll start our slip. But for row 20, we're just going to single crochet one time in each stitch all the way across, giving us a total of 11 single crochets in the row. But we are going to switch to our white yarn after we finish out the 11th single crochet. Okay, here's our last one. We're going to start with our skin tone, and then I'm going to drop it and grab my white yarn. And then pull it through to finish out the stitch and the color change, chain 1 and turn our work. Okay, now we're going to be working on the slip portion of our doll. So if you're looking at your chart, it's the green part, but we are using white because it looks like a little slip under her dress, and you can't see the stuffing as well peeking through the holes of the white yarn. For row 21, we're just going to single crochet one time in each stitch across. 1, 2, for a total of 11. You can go ahead and clip off your body color yarn. We don't need to save any of it because we're going to be joining on this side. So if our yarn had ended over here, we would ball off a big piece of skin color yarn, but since it's over here, we're just going to cut it. So let's just continue on with the pattern. For row 22, so chain 1 and turn our work. For row 22, we're going to increase in the first stitch. 1, 2, single crochet 9, 8, 9, and then increase in the last stitch, giving us a total of 13 stitches in the row. Chain 1, turn our work. For rows 23 and 24, so the next 2 rows, we're just going to single crochet one time in each stitch, giving us 13 stitches in the row. Okay, chain 1 and turn our work. For row 25, we're going to increase in the first stitch, single crochet in the next 11 stitches, then increase in the last stitch, giving us a total of 15 stitches in the row. (14 and 15, chain 1 and turn our work. For rows 26 and 27, we're just going to single crochet one time in each stitch all the way down, chain 1 and turn our work. This is for rows 26 and 27. Okay, chain 1 and turn our work. For row 28, we're going to increase in the first stitch, single crochet in the next 13 stitches, and then increase in the last stitch, giving us a total of 17 stitches in the row. Chain 1 and turn our work. Increase in the last stitch, chain 1 and turn. Now for rows 29 and 30, we're just going to single crochet one time in each stitch all the way down, chain 1 and turn, giving us a total of 17 stitches in the row. Chain 1 and turn. Now for row 31, we're going to increase in the first stitch, single crochet in the next 15 stitches, then increase in the last stitch, giving us a total of 19 stitches in the row. chain 1 and turn our work. For rows 32 and 33, we're just going to single crochet 1 time in each stitch all the way down, chain 1 and turn, giving us a total of 19 stitches in the row. So we are doing 3 rows of each number of stitches. So we started with 11, and then we increased to 13, and then we did 2 more rows of 13, increased to 15, 2 more rows of 15, increased to 17, 2 more rows of 17. And we're going to keep doing that until we get to 25. And then we are going to finish with a couple extra rows of 25 before we are finished making our slip. So I'm finishing up row 33 now, and then row 34 will be another increase row. Okay, for row 34, we're going to increase in the first stitch, single crochet across the next 17 stitches, and then increase in the last stitch, giving us a total of 21 stitches in the row. Chain 1 and turn our work. For rows 35 and 36, we're going to single crochet 1 time in each stitch all the way down, giving us a total of 21 stitches in the row. Chain 1 and turn our work. Okay, chain 1 and turn our work. For row 37, we're going to increase in the first stitch, single crochet in the next 19 stitches, then increase in the last stitch, giving us a total of 23 stitches in the row. Chain 1 and turn your work. For rows 38 and 39, we're just going to single crochet 1 time in each stitch all the way down, giving us a total, sorry, I'm working in front of a window and it's messing with my exposure because the sun is moving behind clouds, giving us a total of 25 stitches in the row. So this is our last increase row, getting us to 25. Increase in the last stitch, chain 1 and turn our work. For rows 41 through 44, so 4 more rows, we're just going to single crochet 1 time in each stitch all the way down, chain 1, turn your work. That's going to give us 25 stitches in each row. So where the rest of the increases had 3 rows of each number, the last one is going to have 5 total rows of 25. That's 42. I'm going to finish off the rest of my slip here, and then I'm going to show you how I'm going to tie off at the end. So go ahead and tie off over here, cut your yarn and tie off, and then place this guy aside and get ready to make your back piece. Okay, now we are going to start the back piece. It is made exactly like the front piece, except for there won't be any color changes for the hairlines. It's just going to be solid hair color and then 2 rows of neck color, and then we're going to start the slip, but the slip is going to be different. It's going to be made into 2 separate pieces instead of 1 solid piece like this one. So we're going to start with our hair color, chain 14, single crochet 13, just like we did for the front piece. And we're going to just make the entire front piece all over again for the back piece. Rows 1 through 18 will be made with the hair color, and then on the last stitch of row 18, I'm going to switch to my face color, and then I got 2 rows of face color, and then it's back to the slip color, which is white. So go ahead and make your back piece just like your front piece, following rows 1 through 18 in your hair color, 19 and 20 in the face color, and then 21 in the slip color. So go ahead and do all of that, and then meet me back here and we will make our 2 separate slips. After row 18, and you switch from your hair color to your skin tone color, you want to ball up your hair color into a small ball. This size right here would be perfect because you're going to use it for assembly when we put our two pieces together. And then leave a longish tail of your skin color. But go ahead and first make sure when you cut your hair yarn, you leave a big old ball for assembly. Okay, I just finished all the way through row 21. Now I'm going to come over here. I can cut this piece off. I won't need a whole lot of skin color yarn. And we can get this out of the way. And then I'm going to portion off a big old chunk of the purple for assembly here down the road. So I'm just going to pull out a whole bunch of it and then roll it up into a little ball and then hold it with a rubber band so it's not flopping around all over the table while I am trying to work. Now roll it into a ball, and after we get this done, we can get started on our slip again. So all of the working yarn we're going to use for the assembly portion will be on the back piece, and all of the yarn we cut off the front is just tails that have to be sewed in eventually. I'm just going to tie a rubber band around it to keep it secure and shapely. Okay. Now we can get started back on our slip. So just finished the 11th single crochet in row 21, chain 1, and turn our work. For this, the back slip, we're going to have one piece that goes up like this, and then across, and then straight down the middle. And then the other one will go up like this, across, and then straight down the middle. And they will be separate from each other. They won't be one hole like this one. There will be a slit between the two, basically. So for this side, we will only put the increases when we're on this side of our work. And when we do this side of our slip, the increases will only be on this side of the work. So that's why if you look at the pattern or the blog post that goes with this pattern, it will tell you row 22A is going to be the first piece of our slip, and then 22B and so on. All the rest of the rows B will be the second piece. So for 22A, it says to increase in the first stitch, then single crochet 4, 2, 3, 4, chain 1, and turn. Then rows 23A and 24A is just one single crochet in each stitch, giving us a total of 6 single crochets in the row. So that's 23A, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's 24A, chain 1 and turn. 25A, we're going to single crochet 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we're going to increase in the last stitch. Chain 1 and turn our work. Rows 26A and 27A, we're going to single crochet 1 time in each stitch, giving us a total of 7 stitches in the row. Chain 1 and turn our work. Okay, then for row 28A, we're going to increase in the first stitch because you can see that's our angled side. That's the side the increases should be on, and then this side is just going to be straight up the back. So we're going to start with an increase, then single crochet in the next 6 spaces. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, chain 1 and turn. Rows 29A and 30A is just one single crochet in each stitch, giving us a total of 8 stitches in each row. Chain 1 and turn our work. For row 31A, we're going to single crochet 7 and then increase in the last stitch, giving us 9 stitches in the row. 7 and increase, chain 1 and turn, and now we're going to single crochet 9 for rows 32A and 33A. Chain 1 and turn our work. For row 34A, we're going to increase in the first stitch, then single crochet 8, giving us 10 stitches in the row. Then for 35 and 36A, we're just going to single crochet 1 time in each stitch, giving us 10 stitches in the row. For 37A, we're going to single crochet 9. Eight, 9, and then increase in the last stitch, giving us a total of 11 stitches in the row. Chain 1 and turn. Rows 38A and 39A, single crochet 1 time in each stitch, giving us a total of 11 stitches in the row. This is 38A, chain 1 and turn. 39A. 40, we are going to increase in the first stitch, then single crochet 10, chain 1 and turn, and then we have rows 41 through 44, so 4 more rows of 12 single crochets in each row. Then we can cut our yarn and tie off. Okay, now we can go ahead and cut our yarn for this guy. Now we're going to make the second half of the back of our slip. These rows will be referred to as B. Leave about a 2-foot tail for seaming up the back of our slip. So leaving a 2-foot starter tail, insert our hook back into this stitch right here, which is number 6, because this was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is 6. Insert our hook. So if we were to continue this row, that's where we would have been going. That's why we're starting here and not on the end. That way all of our stitches are facing the same direction. Probably not important, but that's how it goes. For row 22B, which is the one we are on right now, we're going to single crochet 5 and then increase in the last stitch. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then increase in the last stitch. 23 and 24B, 1 stitch in all of the spaces, giving us a total of 7 stitches in each row. Chain 1 and turn our work. 25B, we're going to increase in the first stitch, then single crochet 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, chain 1 and turn our work. Then for rows 26 and 27B, we're just going to single crochet 1 time in each stitch, giving us a total of 8 stitches in each row. Chain 1 and turn. 28B, we're going to single crochet 7. 5, 6, 7, and then we're going to increase in the last stitch, chain 1, turn our work. 29B and 30B is just 1 single crochet in each stitch, then chain 1 and turn, giving us a total of 9 stitches in each row. For 31B, we're going to increase in the first stitch, then single crochet 8. Chain 1 and turn our work. For 32B and 33B, we're just going to single crochet 1 time in each stitch, giving us a total of 10 single crochet stitches in each row. Chain 1 and turn. For row 34B, we're going to single crochet 9 and then increase in the last stitch. 8, 9, and then an increase. For rows 35 and 36B, we're just going to single crochet one time in each stitch, giving us a total of 11 single crochets in the row. Row 37B, we're going to start with an increase, then single crochet 10, chain 1 and turn our work. 38B and 39B, one single crochet in each stitch, giving us a total of 12 single crochets in the row. Row 40B, we're going to single crochet 11, increase in the last stitch, chain 1 and turn. Now for rows 41B through 44B, we're just going to single crochet one time in each stitch, giving us a total of 13 stitches in the row. So 4 more rows of 13, and then we can tie off, but this time we're going to leave another ball like this for assembly. Okay, so I just finished the second half of my slip, and now I'm going to put a stitch marker where this loop is. I'm not going to tie off, I'm just going to pull up a big loop, put a stitch marker to keep it from unraveling, and then pull off a big ball of yarn for assembly, just like we did with the hair. After we finished this, we can set both of these front and back pieces of our Gracie doll to the side and get started with our limbs.